Hi friends, I'm John Laspina, your carnivore teacher. This is a mini-series on plant toxins. I will have a different video for each plant toxin coming out one after another. And the idea came from a YouTube subscriber, St. John Storm. So thank you, St. John Storm. This is in response to your request. Great idea. The first one I'm going to do is the one that affected me a lot because I got a kidney stone. And I learned very fast about oxalates. So, what is an oxalate? Oxalate is a naturally occurring compound found in many plant foods, including spinach, nuts, seeds, and certain vegetables. It is also produced by the body as a metabolic byproduct. Oxalate combined with minerals like calcium to form crystals, which in some cases may contribute to kidney stones. I believe that we can all benefit from having very low to no oxalates in our diet. Here is a picture of what oxalates look like under a microscope, and here's one of a raspberry seed from Sally K. Norton's book. So the oxalates, they're so small that when we eat them, you don't really see them, but they do affect your body. The highest oxalate plant foods include spinach, which is extremely high in oxalates, especially raw or cooked. Rhubarb, very high oxalate content in both stalks and leaves, though the leaves are toxic for other reasons too. Almonds, among the highest oxalate containing nut, and a lot of people who are on the ketogenic diet use almond flour for a lot of things. Very high in oxalate. Beets and beet greens, both roots and leaves, are high in oxalates. Swiss chard, especially the red variety, packed with oxalates. Sweet potatoes are higher oxalate content than regular potatoes. Dark chocolate and cocoa powder, or cacao, extremely high in oxalate. Black tea, high oxalate levels, particularly when consumed in large amounts. Soy products, tofu, soy milk, soybeans have significant oxalate levels, and buckwheat, high in oxalates despite being a gluten-free grain alternative. And there are other super high oxalate fruits and foods that I did not mention, like star fruit. Let's take a look at some moderate oxalate foods. I would avoid the high oxalate foods. 100% don't have any ever. That's my opinion. Here are some moderate ones you may want to include in your diet if you eat plants. They contain less than the highest oxalate sources, but can still contribute to oxalate buildup if consumed in large amounts. Some of these include carrots, lower than spinach, but still contain moderate amount of oxalates. Celery has a moderate oxalate level, especially when juiced. When you juice anything, you're freeing up the oxalates. So all juiced fruits and vegetables are very high in the anti-nutrients that are in those fruits and vegetables. Juicing is bad. Juicing is terrible. You're taking away the fiber and everything. Green beans, believe it or not as high as spinach or beets, but still contain oxalates. White potatoes, lower than sweet potatoes, but still have a moderate amount of oxalates. Berries, like blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, contain oxalates, though the levels vary. Pecans and walnuts, not as high as almonds, but still contribute oxalates. Whole grains, oats, brown rice, quinoa, lower than buckwheat, but still a moderate amount of oxalates. Peppers, like bell and chili peppers, depends on the pepper, moderate oxalates content compared to other vegetables. And tomatoes, believe it or not, lower than other nightshades, but still contribute some oxalates. Now let's take a look at the low oxalate plant foods. If you're not carnivore, if you're ketovore or keto, the ones I'm about to mention are the ones that you can use a little more freely. They have the lowest amount of oxalates. Cabbage, one of the lowest oxalate vegetables. Cauliflower, very low in oxalates. Mushrooms, most varieties are low in oxalates. Zucchini, a great low oxalate vegetable option. Cucumber contains very little. Iceberg or romaine lettuce, much lower in oxalates than spinach or kale. Radishes, low in oxalate, and a crunchy alternative to high oxalate veggies. Onions are low in oxalate levels across different varieties. Turnips and turnip greens, lower than other leafy greens like spinach or Swiss chard. And the best of all, the one that I eat every day is all animal foods. Meat, eggs, and dairy contain 0 oxalates. Oxalates are different for different people. We make our own, as I said at the beginning, as a metabolic endpoint, and our body can tolerate and process a certain amount per day. We don't want to go over that amount or they build up and then you have to dump them. And it hurts. It doesn't have to be from the kidney. It could come out of your eyelid and irritate your eye for a few weeks. You could have it anywhere coming out of your body, and it could even just cause a sick feeling. Oxalate dumping is a real thing. I highly recommend Sally K. Norton's book, Toxic Superfoods, that breaks this down into fantastic detail and how to slowly wean yourself off of oxalates. If you take yourself off of oxalates fast, you're going to feel great for a while, like the honeymoon period, but eventually your body has to dump these oxalates that you have been collecting. And in that process, that's when it hurts. So in her book, she talks about how to gradually remove the oxalates from your life over sometimes many years. So I'll give you an example before I leave you today with this one, is I have been doing the low carb way of eating for 6 years. And in the first year, I was ketogenic and I ate a lot of high oxalate foods in that first list. I didn't know. I was ignorant of the knowledge and I gave myself too many oxalates and I eventually had to go to the emergency room. I had a ultra painful kidney stone. I don't think any kidney stone is less than ultra painful. After learning what oxalates were, I stopped, but I went to the moderate and the low level oxalates, and then I decided to become a ketovore. And I took out pretty much everything except avocados. I was still drinking coffee at the time, maybe a little bit of tea, and I significantly lowered my intake of oxalates. And then 2 years and a few months ago, I went carnivore. However, if I know I'm having an oxalate dumping episode, I know what it is now. I know what it feels like for me. It's different for everybody. I get achy for no reason. It's not a cold or a flu. Then I will actually take a small piece of dark chocolate or I'll drink a little bit of black tea to give myself a tiny bit of oxalate so my body sees that and slows the dumping down so it's not so severe. And then when my symptoms go away, I'm back off of those oxalates until the next dumping episode. So I am still dumping oxalates after 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. It takes time depending on how much you have accumulated over your lifetime. A lot of people don't realize that certain symptoms that are attributed to some other cause are often really misdiagnosed. They are oxalate dumping symptoms. A lot of people don't know what that is. So other things are given credit for those symptoms. And a lot of people's arthritic, stiff joints, body aches and pains are really related to oxalates in the joints. I know that when I got off of all oxalates and lowered my level, my lower back pain disappeared. It's amazing. Any little body aches and pains, I tell people, I brag, I'm 59 and a half years old. I feel 29 and a half. It's true. And it's because I don't have oxalates in enormous amounts in my body causing, arthritic old person syndrome. A lot of people who are getting older, they say, oh, it's just age, you get stiff. And well, honestly, I don't think that's supposed to happen. I think we're supposed to be flexible and feeling great for a very long time when we don't take in the anti-nutrient oxalate. If you found this video enlightening or interesting, click the thumbs up. All right, so the algorithm sees that it was important. It will recommend it to other people. Subscribe to my channel. I invite you, if you're not a subscriber, share this video with someone who you know can benefit from learning about oxalates and go down the rabbit hole. Read Sally K. Norton's book, Toxic Superfoods. I put out an article in Healthy You about oxalates. So much is out there that we need to learn. We need to learn. When you have the knowledge, you have the power to take control of that in your life and basically feel better. Another great resource for oxalate information is Monique Attinger. She can be found at Low-Ox Coach on many social media platforms. I have found her very informative, very friendly, and you can see a few of my interviews with her on my channel as well. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and stay tuned for my next toxin tomorrow, which will be phytates and phytic acid. Take care.